My name is Lauren Ellis and I'm the Curatorial Manager at Bendigo Art Gallery here on beautiful Judjawurrung country in central Victoria. Frida Kahlo, in her own image, explores the revolutionary creative vision of one of the most celebrated and influential artists of all time, Frida Kahlo. During her lifetime, Kahlo was known mainly as the wife of the famous Mexican artist Diego Rivera, and her dramatic sense of style also positioned her as a fashion innovator. These roles may be seen as having overshadowed her identity as an artist, but in this exhibition we explore the complex personal, political and artistic dimensions of Kahlo's construction of identity. The exhibition highlights the connections between her work as an artist, her collaboration with photographers, and her iconic look, which continues to fascinate and inspire art, design and pop culture today. Our exhibition begins by exploring Kahlo's early life in Coyoacán on the outskirts of Mexico City and the formative experiences which shaped her creative vision. Frida was the third daughter of Hungarian-German émigré Guillermo Kahlo and his wife Matilde Calderón of mixed Spanish and Indigenous ancestry. Frida's sense of herself as a mixture would develop into an enduring fascination with ideas of hybridity, duality and contradiction. Ideas that were also central to Mexican national identity in the post-revolutionary period. This striking garment is a huipil grande or resplandor, named for the headdress which emulates the effect of radiating light. Frida's father Guillermo was her first photographer and her first teacher in the art of image making, using props, costuming and posing. In this original sketch, Kahlo has drawn 3 views of her own head based on photographs taken by her father. When Kahlo was 22 years old, she married one of the most famous artists in the world, the Mexican painter Diego Rivera, thrusting her into the spotlight and into the social circles of the international avant-garde. Here we enter the creative universe Kahlo created inside La Casa Azul, the Blue House, the beloved childhood home where she spent much of her life and died in 1954. Over the years, La Casa Azul was transformed from a family home to a cultural hub, attracting luminaries from around the world. And after Kahlo's death, it transformed again into a museum. Throughout their marriage, Frida and Diego expanded and renovated the house to reflect their devotion to Mexico. Every aspect of the house was meticulously arranged and decorated by Kahlo, another vibrant manifestation of her creative power. And on display here, we see many rarely seen photographs of Kahlo inside the house and in her garden, surrounded by her many animals. Although she is best known for her self-portraiture, around 1/3 of Kahlo's painting was still lifes. This wonderful still life painting features one of Kahlo's charismatic pet parrots. At the centre of this composition is a cut watermelon, a symbol of life and celebration in Mexico. Here we follow Frida Kahlo's experiences outside of Mexico in the 1930s. In the United States and later in Paris, she collaborated with some of the 20th century's great photographers. During this period, Kahlo also began painting more seriously, transforming into the taboo-breaking artist we know today. From the objects on display in this gallery, we can trace the evolution of her persona on the world stage and the development of her career as an artist. The photographs on display here show Frida Kahlo, the artist, at work at her easel, dressed in her Tijuana costume, posing for photographers, in the act of painting, representing herself on canvas. These images flank a tableau inspired by one of her most famous works, The Two Fridas of 1939. The two Fridas in our exhibition wear a delicate French velvet evening cape on the left and a traditional Tijuana costume on the right. And here, Frida Kahlo's sewing box recalls accounts by her friends of her reworking and embellishing her clothing. At the heart of the exhibition is this spectacular display of clothing from Frida Kahlo's wardrobe. Although she is best known for her Tijuana dresses, the outfits on display here show the way she deftly mixed and matched clothing from diverse geographic regions and different time periods. We see Kahlo's sense of geometry, colour and composition at work in these looks. Kahlo concentrated decoration from the torso up, with embroidered blouses and interesting jewellery. She extended her height and adorned her hair with woven yarn and a crown of flowers. She often draped a delicately woven rebozo around her upper body and favoured full-length skirts, which in part served to disguise her leg affected by polio and her teenage injuries. In dialogue with these garments are some of the most famous photographic portraits of Frida Kahlo ever made, taken by her long-term collaborator, Nicholas Marai. In many of them, she can be seen wearing one of her most treasured items of clothing, her magenta pink rebozo. This important original drawing, entitled Appearances Can Be Deceiving, was discovered inside La Casa Azul in 2004. Kahlo gives us an X-ray view through her clothing to see what is concealed beneath her signature silhouette, her thinner right leg, her crumbling spinal column, and an orthopaedic corset. Some of the most powerful objects in this exhibition are Kahlo's orthopaedic and prosthetic devices, medical items, and her toiletries. Together, they give us an exceptional sense of her daily life as a disabled woman and artist. Kahlo's creativity and disability were always inextricably linked, and she has turned some of these corsets into works of art in their own right, delicately hand-painting and decorating with pieces of mirror and stickers, and representing her spinal column as a crumbling architectural column, a frequent motif in her art. In selecting the objects for display in this exhibition, curator Circe Henestrosa was guided by what Frida herself chose to show through her art and two photographers. Her friends described that for Kahlo, getting dressed, made up, and having her hair done was central to her sense of self and well-being. Crafting her appearance, documenting her experiences with photographers, and of course through her own painting and drawing, were the ways that Kahlo held on to herself during extremely painful and difficult times in her life. Kahlo's friends describe her ritual of getting ready, methodically adorning herself just as she took care in every detail of her painting. As this collection of her jewellery shows, Kahlo wore antique, precious items, modern designer pieces, and inexpensive trinkets. These twisted gold chains, known as torzalas, were some of her most valuable and precious jewellery, and she often wore them when getting dressed up to prepare for photography sessions. In this exhibition, we are so pleased to present this important painting, arguably Frida Kahlo's most celebrated masterpiece. Self-Portrait with Thorn Necklace and Hummingbird of 1940 is on loan from the Harry Ransom Center at the University of Texas at Austin. The painting is rich in symbolic allusions to biblical history, art history, the natural world, Mexican culture, and of course, Frida's own eventful personal life. Here, the painting is displayed for the first time alongside items from La Casa Azul which appear in the painting in strikingly realistic detail. When Frida Kahlo died in 1954, at the age of 47, her husband Diego Rivera made arrangements for her home to be turned into a museum in her honour, a gift to the people of Mexico. Thousands of photographs, documents and personal items were sealed up in bathrooms and trunks, where they remained out of view for 50 years. They are on display for the first time in Australia in this exhibition. We are honoured to have collaborated with the Museo Frida Kahlo and curators Circe Henestrosa and Ganit Ankori to bring this special project to life. And we hope that you leave the exhibition feeling moved and inspired by Frida Kahlo's radical creativity, her resilience and alegria, and her visionary ways of being.